check, 1 2 1 2 check.
What's up?
You want to introduce everybody to what we're doing here? You want me to?
Sure, I can.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Go for it. You're live.
Okay. Welcome, Harmony parents. This is our first Parent Access Live, and we have a few parents in the audience here as well and students. So just to introduce myself, my name is Maria DePold. I'm the assistant principal. I oversee academics. This is Mr. Barnes, our principal.
Hi.
And this is Amy Callis, and she's our Dean of Students, and she oversees behavior. She also oversees our safety plan, traffic plan, things like that. So just to kind of let you know what the purpose is to Parent Access Night, it's to really allow our parents to connect with us in a much easier way, so you don't have to drive to the campus. And also, it's to take any questions you may have currently, and hopefully we can answer many of your questions this evening.
And we wanted to do tonight because with just the administration, because we have some grade level I've got all our platforms mixed up. We've got some grade level parent access nights coming up next week, and they're going to share grade level specific information with all of you. But there are certain things across the campus that impact all of our students and parents K-5. And really, last week was kind of funny. About a week ago, I guess tomorrow, we had the amazing gas crisis of one day. And so that sort of spoke volumes to us. We know that you guys have, soccer practice, you've got to run around town, you've got dance and things like that you're taking kids to. And so this is just an opportunity for us to reach out to you guys, either here in the room, like we have several parents, or you could follow us on the YouTube live stream, and there's a chat area on the YouTube channel where you can send in questions, and we'll be happy to answer those. Those are being monitored throughout the course of tonight. So, Ms. Callis, did you want to say anything to kind of introduce what your role is?
My role here on campus is I deal with the safety and the students on campus. So that could involve helping them try to figure out to get through a problem, or it could be just having someone to talk to here on campus other than their teacher. So I'm here for multiple purposes, and I also fill in for our teachers in a lot of aspects as well when it comes to their absences and things, which doesn't involve you per se.
Yeah, I think our plan for tonight involves mostly Ms. DePold talking. I'm looking at her computer screen right now. She's got all kinds of notes here. But we wanted to give Ms. DePold an opportunity to explain our academic programs. So whenever your kids come home and they tell you what they did at school today, that will make sense. But also to just give you guys some answers to commonly asked questions, things we receive pretty frequently. Ms. DePold, do you want to start off with our programs, K-5?
Yeah. So for K through 5 ELA, we use primarily Journeys, and that's a basal reader that most ISDs use. It's with Houghton and Mifflin.
Can I play parent here and interrupt a couple times?
No. That's the.
What do you mean ELA? What's ELA?
Thank you. Oh, English Language Arts, and so that's our reading program. We use Empowering Writers for the writing program. We use Saxon Phonics, and that's more of the phonemic awareness. So that's kind of allowing the students in K through 2 to understand letters, sounds, word families, and just really getting to know certain concepts that really have to go together before going on to 3rd grade. So in order to really understand writing in 4th grade, they really need Saxon Phonics in K through 2, and that's something the teachers are doing. So if you ever see, like in the grade book, something along the lines like spelling test, lesson 1, lesson 2 for K through 2, it's all primarily focused on Saxon Phonics. For math, we use Go Math, and that's for K through 5 as well. And that's still through the same publication company, that's Houghton and Mifflin. And for science, we use, I'm sorry.
So when you say we use Journeys and we use Go Math, what do those look like? What are they?
So Journeys is primarily focused on reading instruction.
But what are, like, physically, they're books, right? I just want people to know.
So a reader's basal unit is pretty much allowing the student to focus on the story of the week. So they're going to be given that for the week. And then not only are they going to focus on the story of the week, they get to focus on a skill. So they're going to learn the skill for the week, and it could be perhaps it's procedural text. So maybe they have to understand, how to read such a text. So that's maybe like let's say how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So a student has to learn how to read that text, right? They have to be able to read it, understand it, but then also create it and produce it. So at the end of that unit, they would be able to produce such a text that's similar to what they're reading in Journeys. So the goal every week is the teacher will make sure the student is learning the skill, and not only learning the skill, they have to be able to show that they understand it through an assessment. So with Journeys, the primary focus is their reading ability, comprehension, and then reading skills that go hand in hand together. Empowering writers is getting them to really know how to not just write, but even understand grammar, understand editing, understand what's, especially in preparation for fourth grade STAR, you want to understand how to be better prepared for what's expected on fourth grade STAR, but we don't like to push the state test as much. We just want to make sure the students understand that there are skills that lend itself to the following grade. So we want to make sure those students are prepared for the following grade.
So far you mentioned Journeys is a textbook for ELA. Empowering Writers is a textbook, also part of ELA. It's the writing part of English Language Arts,
Yep.
right? And then you touched on Go Math, which is another textbook for math, right?
Right.
Okay, and you can pick up there, sorry.
Okay, and so for Go Math, Houghton and Mifflin is the company that publishes all of the material. So there's actually a website that teachers have as a resource, and it's called Think Central. And teachers can create a link for parents to have access to Go Math materials if you want to do some supplemental activities at home. And you could also do some reading activities at home through the online website link. If we have a new teacher at Harmony and they're not familiar with that, all a parent has to do is email that teacher to say, hey, I'm more interested in getting to know how to get that link, and then I can help that teacher get started with that link as well.
So you're saying parents can access this from home, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome.
And so then with Go Math, we also have well, it's not so much it goes with Go Math, but it's a supplemental program, and that's Reasoning Mind, but that's mainly for grades 2 through 4. And so this is a supplemental practice program where students will get to not only go over the activities that they've learned in the class, but also it's to make sure that they keep reviewing those same exercises so they don't forget it. So they may go over concepts they've already learned, they may go over concepts that they are learning, and then they may even be exposed to new concepts. The goal is we want our students to work on Reasoning Mind, which is an online program that they can access at home at least about 45 minutes a day.
So Reasoning Minds is online program. It means there's no textbook called Reasoning Minds.
No, it's an online program.
It's all online. And so students log into this software, an online software program, and they can work on what? Is it problems, basically?
Yeah, math problems.
Is it aligned to their level?
Yep.
So they take an assessment? Or does it follow the TEKS?
It's all going to follow the TEKS, but really it's going to follow the flow as to what the teacher's already doing.
So the teacher teaches something in class, and then the students can log on to Reasoning Minds and continue practice on that same subject.
So let's say there's two aspects to this. One is, let's say a student is having a difficult time with decimals. So what's going to happen is the teacher can actually work with that student during intervention lab time, and then can actually say, hey, Johnny, I need you to work on decimals because I know this is an actual activity that's more difficult for you. So then the student can go ahead, work on decimals, and then it's going to actually give them a tutorial video. So as they're going through the decimal activity, right, and if they get the question wrong, it's going to provide them a tutorial video to say, oh, you got that one wrong, and then let's try that again. So there's an intervention aspect to it, but then there's also the other aspect where the student is going through each concept based on their individual level. So it's more like an individualized program, but at the same time, it can be used as an intervention program.
So let's say I'm a parent of a second grader, and I want to, hey, come on in, and I want to I'm upset. First of all, because my second grade student's teacher says there's not a whole lot of math homework, right? So I could use Think Central though to help support. I can log in from home, have my student work on that, and help support what they're learning in class, right?
Right.
So it's sort of like homework on demand.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. I know we have that question come up quite a bit.
But they don't have to do it at home. They get time at school to get their minutes.
Yeah, so there's a
Yes.
part so that's done partially in math lab, and then anything that's done outside of math lab, which happens in school, is supplemental that parents
Extra.
can choose to do from home, right?
Exactly, that's extra.
Okay.
And many times our parents are always asking to do more. They like to see their students constantly practicing, which we understand. We also want our students to get enough sleep because we want them to come to school more alert, more aware, on a full stomach, ready to learn, because we pretty much have activities planned for all of our students from 7:45 until 2:50, and it's literally like nonstop. So we want to stress, like, when your student is here, they are actively learning. Our little mission statement is learning in action, and that's really what we hope that you would see when you come to visit our campus. Learning in action is constantly happening. Our students are constantly having engaging activities, constantly doing hands-on learning experiences. This year, a new elective or special that the kids have in K through 5 is PBL, and that's project-based learning. So the focus is making sure that our students are not only getting the hands-on learning, but we're making sure that we're reaching across the different subjects. So it's more cross-curricular. So we're able to reach ELA, and then tie in some science, tie in some math, and then tie in some engineering if possibly. So we're really just putting our minds together as a team. So we're getting the department heads coming together to help do PBL. We're getting our science teachers together to help plan some of those fun projects. But I mean, really, our students are learning constantly from 7:45 to 2:50. So if you want more, there's more. We also have Education Galaxy. That's another supplemental activity. It's not used here at school, but that's solely for parents. Based off feedback forms, our parents have requested more, so we have that available to parents who ask for it.
Education Galaxy is a cool program. So it's not something that Harmony Public Schools in general asks us to provide to parents. And they, in fact, said don't do it during the regular day because it's not a part of our core
Right.
curriculum. But we've used it in the past, and they're a local company. They're actually out of Allen, right? Or is it Plano?
Allen or Richardson?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there.
They're just down the road, but it's a pretty awesome online program, and we like it a lot. So we decided we'll go ahead and pay for licenses and give access to parents so that they can do some of that supplemental work or have their students do some of that supplemental work. Kids like it a lot. It's sort of a gamified version of online practice, but it's another one of those programs you can log in through any internet connected device and get a lot of practice in with. So we talked about, we got ELA covered, we got math covered. We talked a little bit about the PBL and STEM approach. I think that's a spot where parents really want to hear more information. So let's talk about science then, and that'll kind of feed in. Tell them about our
Okay.
science curriculum.
So our science curriculum is focused on STEMscope, and that's pretty much a company that many of our ISDs use. So that's something that I'm sure the parents are aware of. But our students are constantly following that pacing and that sequence. So if there's a given unit for, let's say, a period of 3 weeks, and they're going to focus on the water cycle, then they're going to go ahead and do pretty much the activities that go into that. So preloading vocabulary that go into that unit, and then they'll go ahead and do some research on that activity, and then in the end hopefully create a format of the water cycle, whether it's done digitally or if it's done with Play-Doh. I mean, there's all kinds of things our kids can do, but our science teachers are pretty great about planning science. The kids have fun doing the science labs. For K through 3, they get 3 days of science. So, and then the other 2 days they're going to be getting social studies. And then in 4th and 5th grade, they will get science 5 times per week.
So it's once a day for 4th and 5th grade, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And one thing I want to point out with science, there's a couple of key areas. 4th and 5th grade science and 4th grade English language arts are key areas because our staff members here at the HSI Carrollton, they're engaged in the curriculum review and writing teams for those content areas. So we go out and for STEMscopes as an example, we go out and we buy a curriculum that's prepackaged, but we don't deliver it just purchase it and deliver it. We purchase access to the resources, and then our teachers go in and tailor. We'll use a lot of elements from it, but we also bring in outside stuff, and they'll tailor those lessons to meet the students' needs.
To make it more engaging.
And really address Texas standards, because that's I think where a lot of people get hung up. Texas is one of very few states that doesn't use Common Core. And when I say standards, so every state has to adopt a set of learning standards. Most states in the United States use Common Core. It's something that was widely accepted by most states, and it was pushed by the federal government. Texas is an outlier. I know Iowa is, but I can't recall many other states that are. And so we have a different set of objectives called TEKS, or Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. So when you go out and especially in Texas, if you buy something from one of these major publishers, what you're going to find is that it'll address like 90% of what the students need to learn, but then there's some supplemental stuff you have to add. I'm proud of the fact that we have a couple of people on our campus that are engaged at the central office level in writing the curriculum and deploying it in a way that's meaningful for our students. So I just wanted to touch on that, because I don't know if most people understand how that works.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, for example, something that Mr. Barnes just mentioned is Ms. Carone is one of our department heads for 5th grade, but she is really good at science, teaching science, and she knows how to get our kids engaged, and she's also a resource for all of our teachers here at this campus, and she was designated or was awarded Teacher of the Year for this district, or for this region, for the Dallas-Fort Worth region. So she's a teacher that we get to have at Carrollton. So not only does she get to go and do some of the lesson planning for the district, so she'll go every summer over to central office to do some of that planning for the following year, but we have her as a resource here at this campus. So we're really fortunate to have Ms. Carone here. She's always got a lot of great ideas, and she's even very technological savvy. So I can say that. Also, I'd like to mention that when it comes to science curriculum, we try to embed lots of literacy. So the students are not just purely focused on science topics, science units. I mean, they actually have lots of literacy passages they're reading. So lots of informational text is happening in science class. And I know usually when we look at data with STAR results, sometimes students are not doing that well with comprehending informational text because they're not as exposed to it. But we're really pushing a lot of that in our classrooms.
Okay, so we talked everything except for one thing. Do you know which subject you haven't hit on?
Social studies.
Social studies. All right.
Okay, so social studies. So the company we use is Social Studies Reader, or Texas Weekly Readers. It's a long one. So every student gets their own little newspaper, and we get one per week. So the teacher will go ahead and teach on the concepts for that newspaper for that week. And usually for K through 3, that'll be actually K through 4, that'll be 2 days of social studies. And then 5th grade, they'll have social studies embedded with writing. So Mr. Hare this year is doing something a little different. He's doing social studies and he's doing some writing activities together because he knows how to work that hand in hand. So you'll notice some material maybe coming home, and if I can, I don't know if you want me to pull one. What it looks like now.
Oh yeah, are they here?
There's one right there.
Yeah, sure. Let's show 'em.
I'd like to show an example of what they look like. They're literally like little individual newspapers.
It's almost like something like a Dallas Observer situation, right? It's kind of a small little thing.
That's
and you can
okay,
show
yeah.
the parents that are here. I want everybody to
Okay,
see.
let me just open up one and then they
I
can show.
think we gotta keep that together.
Oh, keep it together.
Yes, because this is one
Just
packet.
keep that together then.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of what they look like.
We show everybody over there. Yours,
Yeah.
Miss Kelly.
So this is Texas Studies Weekly. And what I've heard from the teachers so far is that the vocabulary is actually rigorous. So if you ever have a chance to go through it with the student, that would really be helpful, because the vocabulary that's in these newspapers, I mean, it's a high academic type of language, and we really want our students using that academic language. We want all of our students being able to not only understand the concepts in social studies, but be able to use them and write about them and even integrate it in their writing as well.
Excellent point. So, or thanks for explaining that. I'm sorry. Oh, there's a question. Hang on. Okay, I guess we'll take questions now. Go ahead.
How do they get a login for Education Galaxy?
How do you get an Education Galaxy login?
Okay. All you have to do is email Mrs. DePold, and my email is M as in Mary, D as in David, IPPOLD at harmonytx.org.
And we're putting that in the comments right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll send you a user ID and password for your student or for your child.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Google Classroom. We talked a lot about Google Classroom in the spring, and here we are, and we haven't even used it yet, right?
Right.
Can you let's talk a little bit about that. So we've run into some challenges, and parents, are you ready for the scariest word that there is in Harmony School of Innovation right now? Skyward. So let me tell everybody a little bit about our challenges with Skyward thus far. So Skyward is what we call a student information system. It's our database. It's where we store all of our students' information. We have all of our teachers' information in there, and we use that system for a lot of stuff. We automatically generate student Google usernames through that system. We use it for grades, attendance, lunch. Pretty much everything that we do goes through our student information system. And the system we had last year, we called it HSIMS, which just stands for Harmony Student Information Management System. That system was just an Access program, a database designed in Access by a gentleman who worked at our central office, and I think he put it together in 2004. And it was effectively the same program in 2017 that it was in 2004. It had very limited, although you guys could access information over the internet, it actually had very limited internet capabilities. So what we offered at the end of last year was pretty much as far as it could go at that point. And so we moved to the Skyward, which is another student information system. It's a vendor. We pay for Skyward. A lot of districts in Texas, I would say probably 80% of school districts in Texas use Skyward as their student information system. What's complicated about Skyward, though, is that it's not so much a turnkey data management system. It's not like you just buy it, enter all your information, and go. It's more like a shell of a program where you go in and you build out individualized components using the tools that they have. It's almost like if you went to some website design page where it lets you design a website using their graphic interface. It's kind of like that. So we're going in and we're having to build out all these components. We're working with Skyward. We actually have a team of 20 IT guys at our central office working on Skyward. Just the deployment, because there's so many aspects of it. And so we commonly work with them to iron out some of the kinks we've experienced. But there are kinks. One of the biggest issues right now, Mr. Pold, you said something funny earlier. You said, if you notice that your student's grade changes, but the truth is, I don't know that parents can see student grades from our management system right now. I believe they can't. What a huge problem. I mean that for our needs, for your needs, for everybody's needs. What we're doing, though, is we're working with our teachers can see their grade books clearly, and so we're working on a system to push that information out until that component comes online, which should be very soon. So there are some hiccups that we're experiencing with Skyward, and we knew that would happen. I think I'm not going to blame the hurricane for a lot of stuff, but when you had 20 people out of that commission for a week, that set us back a little more. But it should have been done before. Ideally, it would have been addressed prior to last week. So anyways, that's one of the things that we're running into. Back to Google Classroom. So our deployment of Google Classroom is contingent on our ability to have all of our students with Google accounts. Well, we can't do that because Skyward hasn't been able to create that system yet. I understand that we wrote an in-house script to that sort of a plug-in for Skyward to do that. They ran it yesterday, and it's apparently time-consuming. So they've let it run for days and days creating these accounts. So I'm expecting to have access to Google accounts and be able to deploy Google Classroom the way we promised we would in the coming probably 2 weeks or so. I would imagine we'd be able to get that done. One really cool thing, though, that does work is this new system called Clever. All of your students are going to have a QR code. Has anybody had a chance to use it yet?
I had
Here.
a chance to actually use it this morning with my sons.
It's so cool.
It's neat.
So it's just like basically you have this. What we're going to pair it with their ID badges. It's going to be a QR code. They hold it up to the webcam on the Chromebooks or anything that use honestly, you guys can install the same app on your computer at home. You hold it up in front of the webcam and it logs them into their Google account, all their education or the Reasoning Minds accounts, all these accounts that Mr. Pold's talking about,
Yeah.
automatically logged in just from holding up the ID badge one time. Yes, ma'am.
Is this for higher grade?
Yes, it's actually K-12. All of Harmony in the state of Texas will be using it.
Oh, all the
Yeah, I assume you have some children next door. Oh no, yeah, he's good. This is gonna be K5. Everybody's gonna use it here, so we're really excited about that. Just bear with us for about 2 weeks, and I promise you, not only is everything gonna get rolled out, but it's gonna make your life easier than you could ever imagine it being. We're pretty excited about it. It's just a matter of getting it on the ground, and there are frustrations that parents have that are absolutely legitimate. They're shared by us. We completely understand. I think by the time October rolls around, people are going to forget those frustrations ever happened. I think it's going to be a really great quality user experience for everybody at every level: student, parent, staff, administration. Everybody's going to like it. I just wanted to talk about that for a little
Yeah.
bit. Did I stop you from something?
No.
Okay.
If for some reason your student's Clever account is not working, do you want me to give them the IT person?
No, if ever if your student accounts don't work, we need to email Mr. Pold.
Okay. So if your Clever badge doesn't work, just please email me, and then I can get someone to help us with that. Okay. My email account.
Do they have their badge?
It's okay.
No,
This will
I want
all
them to know that
2
they
week
don't have
2 week
it.
deployment.
Okay.
Give us 2 weeks from today. I'll give you a date. You can
just
start
wanted
holding
to-
me accountable.
Okay.
Is this 2 weeks for everything, Skyward and every roughly?
I can't guarantee you that all of Skyward's going to work. I can tell you that our email accounts and the Clever piece should be good to go by September 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. If we have a problem after that, I'll make sure that I give you guys an update.
Okay. Sounds good.
If it happens, I swear to you, it wasn't me. No, I'm just playing. So we'll make sure that it all works out though, and I'll keep you guys posted. We want that Google Classroom piece up because that's the cool. In my mind, the coolest part when we have Google new parents. I'm sorry, there are a lot of parents looking, watching that probably aren't familiar with what I'm talking about. Well, our goal is to have every single piece of graded student work for every kindergartner all the way through every fifth grader to be archived digitally in a Google Drive folder. What that means is if you're a parent of a student of ours that starts kindergarten this year and finishes fifth grade 6 years from now, we want you to have 6 folders, one for every single year, with every bit of student work ever graded at all here in this building. That's going to do a bunch of things. Number one, keeps your refrigerator a little clean. You don't have to I don't know about you. I have my daughter's in the other room. She's 14, and my wife has piles and piles of stuff that she had done years ago. So I know that clutter can happen. I also know that it's nice from a teacher perspective to be able to look at a student in third grade, see where if they're struggling in an area, go back and see those concepts being addressed in prior years. So you can sort of see where those gaps are developed. So it's going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We just need a little bit of time for that to happen. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was good because that reaches out to our new families.
I think our new families
Yep.
are in for a really exciting experience in a couple of weeks. Our old families are too, but the you guys, we've been so far. It's just a frustrating, undelivered promise at this point, but it's going to happen. I can assure you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything else? I want to know if we have any questions in house here. We have all these parents. Can you point the camera at everybody and say hi? Just so everybody knows that we're not here alone talking to nobody. They think I'm just looking to the left and speaking to a wall. Do you guys have any questions for us? We'll be happy to answer.
I have a question in regards to Skyward.
Uh-huh.
When you go into the children's profile, they give an email address. Will that email address be something that they use? Because I know back when my daughter was in 4th and 5th grade, they used the email, but they used it for Chrome. But now you all use it with Clever, which is different now.
Mm-hmm.
will that actually be an email they use, or is it just part of protocol?
So I'm not comfortable. So here, that's a great question. I can tell you this: we aren't comfortable giving not just fourth and fifth, but we're talking K-5.
Yeah, my first grader.
First grader with an email account is not something I'm signing up for. So we're not doing that.
Okay.
What we've done is we've reached out to our the way Google controls accounts is pretty neat. They're good at it. Their administrative levels controls for almost everything. And so we're setting these accounts up with the ability to receive emails, only receive emails, and those emails that are received can only come from harmonytx.org address or staff addresses.
Okay.
So the only people that will have access to email to these students are staff members. Student to student won't be a thing.
Right.
Outside of the ecosystem won't be a thing.
Okay.
And then they can't even send emails. It's going to be only receipt and only from harmonytx.org domain. And their account, their email addresses aren't. You're going to see them, and it's not going to be like tom.smith at hsicarrollton.org. It's going to be a chain of numbers at hsicarrollton.org.
Yeah. In the past, it used to be the first two letters of their first name and the last two of their last name, and then the number. But when I looked at it in Skyward, it just has several numbers. So I was like, is it really an active email or not?
It is going to be an active email, but with some very rigid controls on it. Like partially active, I guess,
Right.
partially functional. And the reason we do that is because those Google accounts, you have to have that email address in order to access everything else in the Google suite.
Right.
Otherwise, it gets complicated. That's a really good question, though. Any other questions from in-house? Yes, sir.
There are just so many great resources,
Mhm.
Listening Minds and all of that. Do students really have to do all of that to be ahead of the curve at home, or is it nice to do?
Okay, so the question is, with all of these online resources, do the students need to do it at home to be ahead of the curve, or is it nice to do? Let me tell you what. If you look at the research, the vast majority of research in education that's focused on homework, you will find that the significant benefit to homework occurs in secondary math. That's high school math. When I say secondary, I don't mean 7th or 8th grade. Now, I'll tell you this. I talk to parents about that, and they refuse to believe what I'm saying. And that's fine. Maybe it works, and that's research, right? So you have outliers, some it benefits at different levels and things like that. I'm just telling you that if you look at the research, homework in social studies, not wildly effective at any level. Homework in ELA, not wildly effective. My advice to teachers is give as little homework to your students as possible, with the option, if parents want, to log on to these programs and have their students get additional work. We have students that will benefit from it. We absolutely do. But the bulk of our students are going to fall within what the research shows us. And ultimately, if we're talking, I'll just throw out a demonstration here. My daughter, when she was in the 4th grade, she was in competitive cheerleading. I don't know if anybody in here is familiar with competitive cheerleading. It's not fun for the parent. But with all that aside, she had to go to cheerleading practice a lot. And so I found that I was taking her to cheerleading practice. I was bringing her home. It would be 7:30 at night, and I would sit there and have to do homework for about an hour a night. And it was really just grueling with her. It went from being an additive experience to one that was really just degrading her comfort level with the material. She became frustrated with whatever the topic was. She would blame it a bunch of different things. That was my kid. You guys have different kids. They operate differently. My philosophy is make it available if the parents want to use it, if the kids want to use it. We have some kids that just want to log in and play, do math problems, and that's great. But it's optional. So I guess what I'm saying is, whatever you're comfortable with is what I would suggest. If we get into a situation where if your student has a learning gap that we've identified and we feel like that's a part of the recipe for closing that gap, then we'll suggest it. But as far as general recommendations, my advice is honestly let kids be kids and have them go outside and play.
Exactly.
That's me. I know everybody differs on that. That's just my advice. So there's that. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
Okay, good. Yes, sir.
So,
Anoop.
with respect to the homework,
Mhm.
is there a change in the homework policy this year, or what do parents expect? Parents who've been here
what would they see differently this year with respect to homework?
So it depends on what I've done is for K2 parents, they can expect very little homework, if any. Mostly because we already have a long day relative to a lot of schools. Our day's pretty long. We have 9 instructional periods. Most schools don't have 9. They go to 7 or 8. And so you're seeing a longer day in K2. The other part is I just don't see the benefit. 3-5, it's an option. I've told teachers it's whatever you're comfortable with. This is what I'll give the research because it's pretty uniform research, honestly. I'll give the research and I'll say this is it. But if you feel like this is what your students need, it's not outlawed by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a recommendation. So if you look at past years, our curriculum is being completely addressed at every grade level. Absolutely, every piece of it is being addressed. Whether or not there's additional practice that goes home is entirely up to the teacher. And that's why those supplemental programs are so valuable because it sort of lets a parent toggle the flow of that workflow. Does that make sense? So I think what you would find is relatively low ask for most teachers in terms of time for homework. But that can vary. I just can't make any promises. I don't know if that answered your question. It's sort of, I guess the best answer is probably a little less than what they've experienced in the past, but with an option to add if they feel like they need to. I talked for a long time to get to like one sentence. It was a compound sentence, but it was just one. Good question. All right. Do we have any more questions online?
I have a lot.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so they're asking about a kinder student's teacher sent out information with Class Dojo app. How do they use Skyward versus Dojo app?
The kinder teacher sent out Class Dojo. All right.
Separate.
So it is a separate system altogether. Class Dojo. A lot of kinder teachers, K2 teachers like Class Dojo because they have dojo points. And that's just sort of a classroom management, student behavior incentive program, tracking system, whatever. It's kind of like you either do the clip chart where you move the clip from purple to green to red, or you do Class Dojo.
It's visually appealing for those students. And those
I'm okay with Class Dojo for points. Not so much. I want the rest of it to go to Google Classroom. Every teacher will have Google Classroom. The question though was how do they get access to, or what is the difference between Class Dojo and Skyward? And the answer is they're just two very different systems. Skyward and Class Dojo don't connect in any way. That's just one teacher's preference on how to use that behavior reward system, behavior management system. That's the component that they're authorized to use in Class Dojo.
Okay, GT questions. They're asking about when evaluation starts and how students are getting services.
How they're getting what?
Services.
Okay, you want to answer real quick? Oh, you know what? You're gonna have to. Why don't you come over there?
Hey y'all, I'm Ashley Reef, former GT coordinator, now testing and federal programs coordinator, but still taking care of GT stuff. As far as GT testing goes, the nomination period is starting next week. So you'll see information on the Insider video, you'll see information in Wednesday mail, there will be hard copies available in the front office and soft copies available for you to print and turn in on our website. I'll advertise on there the exact dates, but your nomination form has to be turned in. I believe testing starts at the beginning of October. So students will be tested in October. Only students who are kindergarten or new to Harmony, the whole Harmony system, not like transferred from another Harmony campus. It has to be a completely new student. Those are the students who can be tested during this testing period. The next testing period that's available for returning students will be next semester, so that'll start, nomination period will be in January. If your student, if you nominate your student for GT, they get accepted into the GT program, their services will start in January. And as Mr. Barnes and Ms. DePold were talking about earlier with this new PBL class that we're doing, that's how the GT students will start getting their services. Their services need to start, did you say next week? So there will be a GT teacher that does a push-in during those PBL classes. So if you have a 4th grade GT student, when they're in Miss Caron's class for the PBL like special class that they have, there will be a GT teacher that comes in and makes sure that your child is being challenged in their appropriate area of strength. So if you have a child who's really good at math, it'll be the GT teacher who's helping them make sure that they get challenged in a math area and not like art or writing or something that they don't necessarily excel at. Does that pretty much cover?
I think so.
Just to kind of say something that Miss Reef had mentioned. She said if you said that if
Speak up.
I'm sorry, if parents nominate a student, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are automatically in the GT program.
Right.
It's based off the test results and then the criteria. So if you can explain
So,
that.
okay, the way that our testing process works, parents nominate by filling out the nomination form and application. It's also an approval form for your child to be tested. Next week and the week after, we'll be doing MAP testing, MAP testing. We use the test results from your child's MAP test, as well as a computer test called the COGAT, and it tests your child in many different areas of IQ ability. We use those two things as well as your nomination form and information from your child's teacher as a GT committee to determine if your child can be part of the GT program using our Harmony standards.
Thank you.
Question. If you nominate them and they test and they don't make it, what is the retake process, or is there?
They're not eligible to take the test.
So the question was, what happens if somebody takes the test, is deemed not eligible? Is there a retake process?
So the way that it works is that they have to wait a full academic year before they're tested again. So if your child is a returning student, they won't be tested until January. They have to wait completely until the next January before they can be tested. Information goes out really quickly. As soon as we, as the GT committee, make those decisions, I send out the letters like the next day. So it's a very fast process. We have a really nice automated process that sort of like analyzes the test scores for us. Those letters go out and they say that your child either did or did not get into the GT program. And then services start the next semester. So if your child gets in this semester, they'll start in January.
Cool.
Any other questions about GT? All right.
Awesome.
I kind of want somebody who say I have one more
was gonna say
GT.
one more.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we did. Somebody did put one online. Does that mean we don't need to nominate? You would evaluate based on scores. All students have to be nominated.
Yeah, so everybody has to be nominated either by a teacher or a parent. Any parent can nominate their kid. It's just a process. That nomination allows you to say, hey, I want my student tested for gifted and talented. More online questions? Our participation is wonderful, y'all. Seriously, it's really good.
People are just saying that they really like the homework policy and that it shouldn't exceed more than an hour a day, and they all agree that the homework policy is working really well. Somebody's asking how they access School Cafe.
School Cafe is a wonderful question to ask.
You have to use the Waco one.
That's the big trick. Okay, so let me explain this. So our district we call it the DFW district. The truth is that, or the more accurate answer is that our district title is Harmony Science Academy Waco. Our district number is 161807. If you look at that on the TEA's website, that's 161807. If you look at that on the TEA website, you're going to see it say Harmony Science Academy Waco. We have 15 campuses in our district. Two of them are in Waco. So it's weird that our charter is out of Waco. It's just the way it's organized. But when you go to School Cafe, you're going to have to identify yourself as a member of Harmony Science Academy Waco, because that's the district. The school is Harmony School of Innovation Carrollton. I know that's confusing. It's complicated. As far as the logistics of how to sign up for School Cafe, I honestly do not know. My operations manager would be able to answer that wonderfully. What I'll do instead of answering that right now, though, is have an email sent out prior to the end of day Friday. And we can get those directions sent out pretty easily.
Can we donate on stream?
Can we donate? Like to the GoFundMe thing?
It just says on stream.
I'm not sure, but if anybody is interested in helping out Harmony Public Schools in general, there's a GoFundMe account. So there are two types of disaster relief happening as a result of Hurricane Harvey. The first one that we initiated was a collection of non-perishable items to have delivered, basically. The second one, though, is a GoFundMe account. I think they're trying to raise $200,000. The math was done. If most of if all of our unaffected schools, students, families gave $10, then we could raise $200,000. I'm a big proponent. While I think we've had some really good turnout for the non-perishable items, and we're excited about delivering those to Houston, the school in Houston. Generally speaking, I'm a big fan of the monetary donations because it's just easier to have that liquid cash go to the appropriate the people who need it, and the folks that can help out. So if the question is specific to if the donation can happen here on this stream, no, but you can go to our website, and there is adequate information about the GoFundMe account, and please feel free to be as generous as you can, because we really, it's one of those things. It's easy, like we get frustrated about Skyward not working. I do, and there are a couple of things that I get frustrated about being delayed. But the truth is, these people in Houston are dealing with serious life or death matters and real legitimate, like losing houses and not having flood insurance in most cases, and those things are just a real tragedy. And so I guess my point is that if you can help out folks in that kind of situation, I think it's good for you. It's good for them, and it's certainly good for I think all parties involved. So I think we've also, Ms. Callis' point out, we've probably sent 1,000 emails about this as a system. I know I've gotten a bunch.
Well, I'm just gonna say that check it out because they're gonna start giving that money to the families, so they're about to close it out.
Yeah.
Oh, so hurry up then. If you hurry up and give us your money. It's not. I swear to you, it's going directly to Harmony families just like you. To help them get their situation in order. Ms. Reef, any other questions?
I've just been answering them on here about GT stuff.
No, okay. So if anybody here wants to review the questions on the comments, feel free to go to HSI Principal Barnes YouTube channel. And we're going to have to change the name of that at some point. I want to make it an HSI channel and get my name out of that because I feel like this thing's going to live past all of us as popular as stuff on YouTube has been. But go there and check out the comments. Those will be there in perpetuity. So there's always going to be available. And we're going to make this video. So one thing about this video, if you're watching live or if you're in the room, to save this video and make it accessible later takes a very long time to process on YouTube servers. So this probably won't be available until tomorrow at some point. I say a very long time. This video will have to process for like 5 hours because of the length of it. So just buckle up and expect that. But it's going to be, I think, worthwhile. Ms. Reeve, any other questions? Any questions here? Awesome. So I'm sorry, Mr. Bully, I need to hit you. So let me tell you guys what you can expect. Starting on Monday, I'm gonna pull up my calendar here, my handy dandy calendar. Monday, September 11th, our kindergarten parents, you can come to this exact same website. The website, we made that much easier too. You go to hsicarrollton.com/PAN, stands for Parent Access Night, PAN. And we can update from that. We'll push you to the appropriate link to watch the video. So that makes life a lot easier than it was last year. So on Monday of next week, we're going to have kindergarten at September 11th. On September 12th, first grade. September 13th, we're going to have second grade. September 14th is third grade. Friday, September 15th, we're going to do fourth grade. And then on that following Monday, September 18th, we're going to do the fifth grade Parent Access Night. So feel free to participate in the Access Night specific to your students. Ask questions. Come in. You're welcome to come in. You're welcome to ask questions via the YouTube chat. I think we have one more question we're going to take, and then we'll probably shut it down. Yes, ma'am.
As for now, what's the best way to pay for student lunch?
As for now, the best way to pay for student lunch is to go to our front office in person, and they can help you out. That's as of now. We'll send out that school cafe link and give you the information by the end of business Friday, though. I really appreciate y'all. You have no idea. We have amazing families. You guys have been very patient with us. I know that this whole deal has been a headache, but we're gonna do better, and we'll get you the information you need in a timely manner. All right. Thank you all for your time. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so don't hit stop yet on the video. There's a little delay. If you hit stop there, it'll just cut us right off. All right. And then thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Y'all enjoy your evenings. It was fun.
It was pretty easy. And I think we raised like $144,000 so far.
Is that where it's at?
Where it is, because we donated Miller High School PTO. We donated, and they said you have like 2 days left. So I donated today for us for Miller High School PTO.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's
And
awesome.
here's the thing. I looked at it this morning. It was only like at 40.
That's what I saw, yeah.
It's
That
good.
must have bumped real quick.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Information about the PTO here?
PTO president right there.
So, you know where that cuts over to me getting up? There it is. How many people?
It got up to 35. It was up to 35. Our questions were like blowing up from.
That's crazy. You know, last year we pulled like 7.
Yeah, we didn't have any last year.
That's awesome.
Well, we got a lot of new parents, and they're excited. And
That's why we wanted to do it so early in the year, to try to get